Le régime illégitime de Kinshasa persiste dans sa duplicité criminelle et piétine les efforts inlassables des dirigeants régionaux et des partenaires internationaux visant à résoudre pacifiquement les conflits en RDC. Ce régime poursuit ses déploiements militaires ainsi que ses provocations et attaques. À Uvira, il a déployé des milices terroristes, FDLR, Mai Mai, Imbonerakure, venus de Hewabora, Kindu, Kilembe, Wimbi et Bujumbura. À Walikale, 5 rotations d'Antonov Buffalo des FARDC, à provenance de Kisangani et Beni, ont acheminé des troupes et armes lourdes. L'Alliance Fleuve Congo, AFC M23, prend en témoin la communauté nationale et internationale et se réserve le droit de protéger les populations civiles ainsi que d'éliminer toute menace à sa source.
Well, a ceasefire just on paper. Despite there being some semblance of diplomatic calm in eastern DRC, there is still active military operations between the FARDC and the M23 and the allied militias in between. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you about an operation that happened in North Kivu, Walikale, where the M23 was pushed back by the Wazalendo forces, as well as in South Kivu, where the M23 launched an attack against the FARDC and allied militia. As well as in this video, I'm going to tell you about a communique that has been released by the M23 claiming that the FARDC has deployed more than 1,000 troops right at the doorsteps of the M23, as well as the progress currently of the Doha talks, which seem to be failing. Well, this is bona fide. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe and hit that notification button so that when I release something new on the Eastern DRC crisis, you get notified as soon as possible. They are planning the mother of all battles against us. That is the claim that the AFC M23 has now put out in public in a communique that was released the 11th of August 2025. That communique read that the AFC M23 hereby alerts the international and national community that the Kinshasa regime continues its offensive military maneuvers aimed at full-scale war, despite having signed the Declaration of Principles in Doha on July 19th, 2025. Significant troop movements and military equipment deployments have been observed in Zimbira, Mwenga, Bunyakiri, Kibua, Pinga, and Uvira. These deployments, which deliberately violate the ceasefire yet again, demonstrate a clear escalation strategy along with the following axes: Kindu, Shabunda, Kinshasa, Bujumbura, Kisangani, Walikale, Kalemi, Uvira, where 2 boats transporting 1,125 combatants from the Kinshasa regime's coalition forces docked yesterday, Sunday, August 10th, 2025. The Kinshasa regime is intentionally heightening tensions and undermining the ongoing peace process. These movements are accompanied by systematic attacks on densely populated areas, resulting in civilian casualties and mass displacements that exacerbate an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. Our organization remains on maximum alert and reaffirms its commitment to protecting civilian populations and working towards a peaceful resolution of the ongoing conflict. Well, that is a statement that has been released by the AFC M23, noting that the Kinshasa regime is planning on a full-scale war against the AFC M23. But these two parties had agreed that by August 18th, there will be a permanent solution to what is ongoing in Eastern DRC, that they are meeting in Doha, that the peace process is continuing. But that is the complete opposite of what exactly is happening right now in Eastern DRC. Because as much as there is some semblance of this diplomatic quiet, there are still strategic maneuvers being conducted, and not only by the FARDC, but also by the M23. Both of these parties are culpable of conducting different maneuvers against each other currently militarily in Eastern DRC. Because there also is a report that in early August, the M23 engaged in fierce clashes with Wazalendo forces near Buhimba village in Walikale district. The M23 was reportedly pushed back by the Wazalendo towards Luberike following an attack on August 8. This is the M23 in North Kivu. Remember, Walikale is the last frontier of the M23. This is the first time that the M23 had gone farthest west up to Walikale. The M23 had never gone to Walikale, but this time the M23 in its fight against the FRDC went up to Walikale, and they fought the FRDC there, and then there was that drawback by the M23 for a ceasefire or for dialogue, etc. You remember all that. But right now we are finding out that the M23 actually engaged in a fierce fight against the Wazalendo, and they lost that particular fight because they were pushed back by the Wazalendo forces towards Luberike. And it's not North Kivu alone, because also in South Kivu there have been clashes and attacks by the M23 as well as by the allied forces of the FRDC, because as reports are coming out, and as that video that you saw at the beginning of this video, the vehicles that were moving with soldiers, those who are M23 soldiers in South Kivu. And that particular movement was the M23 that launched an offensive in the Mulamba area from August 9th to 11th and deployed heavy reinforcements from Bukavu, including 10 trucks, as you're seeing right now on your screen, of fighters and the use of drones and armored vehicles. The M23 also aimed to capture Nzibira, a key logistical hub west of Walungu. Well, the Doha peace talks are likely not achieving what they are supposed to achieve or as expected, because on August 7th, the M23 said that they had not received an invitation to the upcoming Doha talks that were supposed to start then, thus will not be participating and therefore jeopardizing the peace process in Doha. Because if the M23 is not going to participate in the Doha talks, then there is no that seamless progression, because we started with the DRC and Rwanda in Washington. They signed a pact there. And then we went to the DRC M23 in Doha that was supposed also to come with a peace deal for there to be a full augmentation of the agreements in Eastern DRC and the conflict in Eastern DRC. But if the M23 is not going to join the DRC in having that peace talk in Doha, then all these peace processes, all these efforts are going to break away, and then we're going to be left with a region that is on the brink of a full-scale war between these two forces. But maybe one will ask, why are we having a ceasefire violation right now in Eastern DRC by both forces? Because it is not only the FARDC, even the M23 is leading to these ceasefire violations. Why are we having these ceasefire violations right at this time when there are talks in Doha ongoing? This is because both of these parties want to have a strong position when that peace deal is going to be signed. They are calculating, they are making sure that they have secured strategic zones so that when it comes to boundaries, then they will be better off. Of course, the M23 wants to have the best of the best in whatever they can capture, as well as the FARDC wants a strong position by not allowing the M23 to capture this best of the best. That is why we are looking at a place like Walikale, where there is a lot of tin ore being processed that goes globally. This is a very important zone. That is a zone that the FARDC will not like to play with. We are talking about South Kivu, that the M23 should not even think of going to Uvira. These are particular places very important for the FARDC to manage to continue to control as these peace talks are ongoing. It is also because there is no enforcing authority of this ceasefire, because there are very many actors, and when there are very many actors, of course, no one is so much interested. You have the African Union on the Luanda and the Nairobi process, we have the US, we have the UN and the MONUSCO, we have so many actors, the EAC, SADC. So there is no specific authority that is overseeing this ceasefire. Yes, this ceasefire was signed, but no authority means that it is easily violated. And lastly, the reason as to why we are seeing these violations in Eastern DRC is also partly because of the multiple groups that are operating in Eastern DRC. It is not only the M23 and the FARDC. As I keep on saying, there are militias in between. There is the Wazalendo, there is the Mai Mai, there are other militias that are supporting the M23. So while this ceasefire is between the M23 and the FARDC, other parties will say that we are not involved in that particular talk. We are not part of that particular agreement. We did not sign anything, so we can continue with business as usual. And when they continue with business as usual, these big players now, the FARDC or the M23, might come in to assist their allied militias in particular capacities. So these are the reasons as to why perhaps there is no solid ceasefire in Eastern DRC. But I will continue to keep informed of the latest of what is happening in Eastern DRC regarding this ceasefire, as well as the Doha talks and the clashes that are ongoing in different parts of Eastern DRC, North and South Kivu. Keep it bona fide.